Hello and welcome to another episode of Transcontinental Overload. I have the pleasure of talking to a true nomad today, Iliana, who is originally from Bulgaria and left her home country on the brink of the millennium to move to the US with 2 suitcases, $200 in her pocket, and tons of enthusiasm. And then she moved again, and again, and again, and again. And you get the picture. 5 countries and 3 continents later, she is back in the US, working as a scientist with the US National Weather Service. But my guess is that's not where she'll stay. She simply likes traveling and exploring other cultures far too much. Of course, we talk about what it feels like to live such a transient life and what it's like when you lose your job and your partner and have to start from scratch. How to make friends and keep them and find new ones, and how you keep your sanity during it all. Iliana and I met on May on the Move, which I need to mention at this point because we reference it several times during our conversation. It is a writing initiative that was created by the lovely Katrina Turner, author of Nest, a memoir of home on the move, who was also a guest on my podcast back in December. Anyway, so each year in May, a whole group of writers and writing enthusiasts get together on Instagram to write contributions for prompts, and this leads to beautiful encounters and conversations and new connections. I've actually met a few wonderful people through this, including Iliana. Check it out. You don't have to wait until next May. Hashtag May on the Move on Instagram, and I'm gonna put a link in the show notes too. But now, let's go and listen to Iliana's story. Welcome to Transcontinental Overload, Iliana. It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you, Stephanie.
And just sacrifice your Friday afternoon.
Happily.
Yeah. No, this is I so love having these conversations. So I hope it's the same for you. It doesn't, and I never want them to be like an interview or like a, quick fire, right? Next, but just a kind of organic conversation. So and at this point, I don't even know where we're going to be going. So I love that. Let's get started with your story. So you were born in Bulgaria and raised in Bulgaria, and then you moved in 2000, I think is what I read, and that kind of coincides with I moved at the end of 98, so
okay.
It's kind of a similar time period, and you've not gone back to Bulgaria.
No, not yet. Yes. So I left Bulgaria in 1999. You probably know it was a messy time for Germany and for the Eastern Bloc. For a different reason, but that's what made us, me and my boyfriend at the time, to decide to go somewhere, because we were tired of buying the cheapest stuff in the store and not having buses and be cold, and it's really economic reasons to move. I tend to glorify it when I talk to strangers and I say, oh yeah, I wanted to move for my career. That too, but it was just for a better life.
Well, I guess also it's like you're young, and you've did you have a degree yet? Had you been to like university or?
Yeah, so at the time I was doing my PhD already when things started to change in Bulgaria, and we thought I wanted to move to Greece or the Netherlands. That's where my heart was, but he chose the US and Microsoft and all the computer stuff for him. So I said, okay, I'll get my PhD and we can go together and build a life where you want, but I'll lead the way. So we came here, and I arrived on Christmas morning. The cheapest flight was to fly on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
And I spent my first flight ever. I spent the night in Frankfurt. The airport was closed. It was dead. And I remember talking to a gentleman from Senegal, I think. I practiced my basic English, and then I arrived in Chicago, and the world was perfect again because everything was organized, the sun was shining, and it was freezing, but who cares?
What a way to start.
Yeah, Lufthansa offered little chocolate Santas. That was very kind. Thanks.
Oh, I can't even. That must have been kind of depressing. Although I've flown on like Christmas Day, even I think, or Christmas or the day after that, because it's cheaper and I didn't care at the time. So
Not the first. I mean, our flight was. I had a return ticket, but it
yeah.
was open jaw, so I didn't know when I'll come back, if I'll go back, what the
Hmm.
money situation will be. I mean, back then, coming to the US from Bulgaria was $200 in your pocket, two
Hmm.
suitcases, and off you go. You don't know
Yeah.
what's ahead of you.
And a PhD.
And a PhD, yeah. The PhD was a good idea.
Yes, I'm sure we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but yeah, definitely I can understand that feeling of, oh my God, what does the future entail for us here? Um, what does life look like? Like you said, empty shelves in supermarkets and just the job prospects and everything. You probably were like, and you're young and you're kind of like, what is this? Is this what my life is going to be? And so I totally get that. Let's let's change something. Let's do something.
I, I'll jump right to COVID time when the stores got empty.
Hmm.
I said, "No, it's not a big deal. I've been through that."
Yeah.
My American partner was freaking out because he's never seen the shops empty. And I said, it can't be empty forever. There'll be something to eat.
Yeah.
But yeah, we,
They,
we came
mhm.
with no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. So you came to Chicago and that's where you are now as well, right? Was it the same area or is
So
that a coincidence?
yeah, I landed in Chicago first, and a couple hours later, I had a flight to Cleveland where my uncle was. He had gotten a green card a couple of years
Mhm.
before, so I was supposed to stay with him. He was supposed to help me get a driving license, help me get a job. And then naively, I didn't know that I need a work permit and I need a American driving license. So I spent 8 days in Cleveland. And then I said, if this is America, I want to go back
Oh God.
because I didn't know back then, but he lived in a ghetto pretty much.
Hmm.
Um, the house was moldy, but you
Hmm.
don't know what you're gonna find and how you're gonna deal with it.
So was
So,
this your first time? Sorry, was this your first time in the US?
yes.
And so and did you know your uncle or was
Yeah,
it?
yeah. He had come to the States a couple of years prior with the green
Okay.
card, so his move was well organized.
Hmm.
But I didn't know the reality of his life because for
Yeah.
him it was better than back home. But for me, it didn't seem all that much better.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I spent a few days. We arrived on Christmas morning. We had New Year's together. And then a couple of days later, I told a friend in Chicago from college, you know what, if this is the US, I would rather go back. And she said, how about you get a Greyhound, come to Chicago and see what it's all about. And if
Hmm.
you still don't like it, then you can go back. And thanks to her, I'm here because they picked me up from the bus stop, showed me downtown Chicago, Christmas lights, everything was shiny. We went to Barnes and Nobles, and I can't believe that you can read the books and not even buy it and play with the toys in the store, and nobody yells at you. And it was like, oh wow, I can like that. I can stay here.
So that was more like you had hoped it would be.
Yeah, it was like in the movies.
Mhm. You
It
know
was
what?
really.
I still find this. I've been in the States for over 14 years now, and I still feel like it looks like the movies all the time. It's just, there's something so familiar about so many, and I've lived in different places, so it's different landscapes, but it just feels like, huh,
And the movie changes, right? There's
yeah,
all kind of movies
yeah,
about the
hmm,
US. So um,
yeah,
I moved to Chicago. I stayed with them for a couple nights and I got very good instructions. You don't shop in these shops until you make such income.
hmm,
You go find a job right away. You go get your license right away and you get in the system
hmm,
and you start your life. So I moved to the States and within 2 weeks, roughly,
hmm,
I was taking care of three children. I had my own bedroom, my own living room in the attic floor of
hmm.
this super rich family. I was driving Toyota Land Cruiser, which back then for me was a lot. And I thought I made it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
but your partner was also there at the same time, right? So how was
Uh,
the,
but first I came by myself
yeah,
because he was working on his PhD. And then he joined me 6 months later. By that
okay.
time, while I was still in Bulgaria, I applied for a fellowship. So my
Hmm.
PhD was already working for me. So after the first few months, I went back, changed my visa, and we came together. So first I was in Chicago, then we moved to Arizona, and then things started happening. Work was great, marriage was not. So we had to see how we're going to navigate that new situation where everybody adjusts in a different way. I was already sold on the American dream because I had seen the best of it. I knew what I aspire, what I'm working towards. For
Hmm.
him, it was kind of a cheap Arizona apartment, no city lights, no seasons. We were both on one salary. So back in 2000, I was making, I think, about 30,000.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, it was still good money, I guess, but I didn't know. I just
Well, it
took
also
things as,
depends. It depends what you want. And like, yeah, you said for him, maybe he didn't have to have the dazzling city around him.
he wanted to be the center of attention and the provider and
Okay.
yeah, the man in the house, and our roles had switched, and I didn't understand that until years later when we already had split up and I had changed a few countries and I was
Hmm.
starting to figure out why things went that way and what could I've done different. Could have I? It's all water under the bridge, but yeah, one of the lessons.
Yeah, but and cultural differences too, I guess. Coming to the US and because I generally it's much more uh, what's the right word? I think the roles are it's pretty even. It's pretty normal. And even in the early 2000s, it was pretty normal to for both partners to be earning money, and it didn't really matter who was earning more or less. But I guess there's a traditional, you're more European and maybe also more Eastern European mindset
Yeah,
that probably played into this.
that
I
played big
imagine.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember I went to work already in Arizona, and people would tell me, "Oh, you're so Eastern European. How come? You're very opinionated." Yes, I am. You are always apologetic. You always make a statement and then you say, because we don't care for your reasons. You just do things. And it was sort of hard to
Hmm.
adjust to that I don't have to explain myself to anybody, but I loved it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's one of the things that you have to get rid of that old mindset but this what's kind of internalized. And at that point, when you've gone through life in a different country, in a different culture, and it's kind of in you. So it does take a while. And yeah.
Yeah. Um, like we were discussing in May and the Move, every country brings a different shade of you.
Hmm.
And I was pretty shy extrovert back home.
Hmm.
When I came to the States, I learned that unless you speak, unless you are proactive, nobody will notice you. You just have to do things yourself. And I was already independent, even back home for our standards, but
Hmm.
I blossomed here in being,
Yeah.
I can do whatever. I can achieve anything I want to almost.
Yeah, I think it's a very um because Americans in general, I feel, are very, they're polite, and it's not so, they don't feel like they need to judge everything right away. And that's something also I grew up with, because Germans are just as judgmental as, other Europeans in general, but Germans, I think, especially so. So I'd grown up with exactly that same, doing something and instantly feeling the need to explain and to apologize for saying it. And here people just, it's like, wow, people actually want to listen to what I have to say without criticizing me. That's amazing.
Right, right. Your opinion matters. And even if they don't
Mhm.
really care for it, but they listen to you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I don't want to sound full of myself, but it felt great. I was drunk on being
Yeah.
myself and people accepting me.
Yeah.
I've been asked many times when I travel back home, do they discriminate you? Do they look down on you because of your accent or because of where you're coming from? And my answer was, they don't even know where Bulgaria is. They're just happy to have somebody. And as long as you're nice and polite back,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's even more so that when you do have an accent, people think it's interesting. It just adds that extra thing. Depends obviously on the accent and on your skin color too. But in terms of as a European, I think it's fairly easy to come here and feel good
Blend in.
and
Yeah.
grow in confidence.
I think we sort of disagree on how nice is or not nice to be asked, what's your accent? But I love it because when I was coming, I like to play with words and I knew it in a different language that I didn't speak as well as now. It's not going to work, but I was honest about it. So when people ask, any sort of interest was welcome. Even Starbucks at the time, calling my name to give me my coffee, I felt so special.
Yeah.
And then later realized it's just part of the drill. But in the first days, you
Oh,
like it.
who cares? Exactly. I always feel like people are so dismissive of Americans they just do small talk and they're not really interested. No, maybe they're not, but it makes for such a nice day to
Right.
day. Your interactions are so much nicer. And I think when you have a bad day, it's much easier to just feel better when you go out and go about your day and someone just says, have a great
Yeah,
day. And it's just little things. Yeah.
exactly. I was on my first days in Cleveland, and my uncle's uncle, who was also alive at the time, took me to the local diner. And I
Mhm.
remember this older gentleman who said, "Oh, welcome to the United States. You will see how great our country is. You're very welcome here." And I thought, why does he feel like he has to tell me that? I already feel welcome. I mean, I made a choice, but it was nice.
But that's such an early reaction that it's like, what is his point? Why does he need to why does he need
Well,
to
I was
say this?
still skeptical, right? I still didn't
I
buy.
know. So basically you were working, your marriage was kind of disintegrating and then
Marriage went away after the first job, and we
mhm,
took different paths. And I started my real nomad lifestyle. I moved from Arizona to Washington State for
mhm,
about 3 years. Then I moved to Champaign-Urbana in Illinois. Then I moved to Wisconsin. And then one day I realized American men are not for me. And I found a job in England because I thought everybody's Hugh Grant, if not Jason Statham at least.
oh my God. So how that's a few jumps. So let's go back. So how come you moved so much? Was this all to do with your job?
Yeah, so I do scientific research, which is
Mm,
budget money based. And if the contract money ends, either they renew the contract or they don't. And if the government doesn't fund you again, then you go on to the next assignment. So could have I stayed in Arizona longer if I tried? Yes, but by that time I wanted to move
mhm.
because I didn't want to be close to my ex, and
Yeah.
I wanted seasons too.
Mhm.
So I moved to Washington. I liked my job. I loved my boss. I met my second husband. I thought that that's it. We bought a house. Everything was perfect. And then things fell apart. I proved that I'm not a marriage material.
Oh.
So then I moved to, yeah, my contract ended. That was unexpected. So I moved to Champaign.
Mhm.
It was a short-term contract. And by that time, I had already kind of gotten used to my field and I knew what I want to do and where. And Wisconsin was one of the best places for my satellite research.
Mhm. So is that your field? If you
Yeah,
just want to explain briefly what your
what I do for a living.
mhm,
Um, I used to look at satellite pictures and make conclusions about clouds and weather. Um, Remote sensing is the formal word.
mhm,
Atmospheric science is the even bigger word.
Hmm.
But on a day-to-day basis, you sit behind a computer and you analyze data. I love it. I still love it. So after Washington, I went to Illinois for a year, and I was starting to be choosy. So, it comes to a point you move abroad, and first you take whatever comes your way. And after a while, you figure out your priorities and you say, okay, now I want to be strategic. So I applied for 6 different positions in Wisconsin, and I didn't get not one of them. So I changed my strategy and I found a fellowship. So you find organization that will fund your work for a year, and then you go to whatever place you want to with a bunch of money, and they say, "Oh, a free worker will take you."
Okay.
So I made my way to Wisconsin and I stayed there for almost 3 years.
Mm.
I had a great life, great friends. My marriage fell apart. I didn't care, but being single for a while started to get the best of me. And I said, I should try again in Europe. There was something that wasn't working with American men. Maybe it was me. I don't know.
Yeah. So what was the pull of? I mean, it can't have been just the Hugh Grant factor. There must have been other things that made you go to the UK.
Oh, it was a job that was on paper perfect.
Hmm.
It's a leading organization in my field, weather forecasting. It's in a small town outside of London in Reading. It's a great international company, no taxes. You could get a new car and not pay any of the
Hmm.
taxes on it. You get diplomatic license plates, free Medicare or medical insurance.
Yeah.
Life was great.
Well, and
But
also
then,
as a at the time, the UK was still in the EU, so it was easy for you as a
yes,
Bulgaria with a Bulgarian passport.
yes. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to deal with visa or
Mhm.
status because, I mean, for those who haven't done it yet, getting a visa, waiting in line for an embassy and answering questions, it's nerve-wracking. You never know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
But once you get some status, oh, by that time I was already a US citizen.
Mm.
So that helped too. So in the UK, I thought that I'm setting myself for the great career and then I'll stay. I already speak English. But when I got to Reading, the job was fine, but I couldn't fit in.
Hmm.
Most of the people in international organization there brought their family.
Hmm.
So they were overseas, but close to home.
Yeah.
If they're from Europe, they had their families with them. And I was one of the few younger single people in the company. So it was kind of not quite fitting in. So the funny part was when I came to the States, people saw me as too Eastern European. When I moved to the UK, they saw me as too American. And I said, I'm Bulgarian. No, 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 you're too pushy. You're American. So it was really, I
Had you
didn't
been to
feel,
the had you been to the UK before, or was that the
no,
first time?
no, I
Okay.
just love seeing the movie and moving. And then,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That I absolutely empathize. It's you kind of you romanticize
it helps
that
though, right?
a lot. Always. Yeah.
If you know all the facts, you wouldn't do it.
Hmm. No,
Like,
true.
I mean, there was so many great things about my life in England, but also
Mhm.
I knew that personality-wise, I wasn't fitting in.
Yeah.
Um, People are polite, but they're also very reserved. And there is the caste system where there is the people,
Yeah.
foreigners. No matter what your education, you have an accent, and that's it. Also, it's kind of cloudy, too rainy. Apartments are too small.
Yeah, that's hard after the US where I mean, and places can be ridiculously big and way too big too, but that is a complete shock. I've like every time I go back to the UK to see family, I'm like the roads are so small and it's just it's just
I
it's
moved
weird.
from I moved from a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom house with a yard ending on the lakefront to about 12 square meters
Mm-hmm.
studio in Reading, and the cost was the same. I even
Yeah.
told the agent, let's go see something super expensive so I see what I'm
Yeah.
missing and is it really a matter of money? And there was nothing too impressive.
Yeah.
It's just different
Hmm.
style. I forgot what Europe was.
Hmm.
Um, so when I went to Arizona, I was sort of shocked by how small the windows were. It's a
Hmm.
sunny place and they're
Yeah.
hiding. I go to England and the windows are even smaller. And to me, that's depressing because I grew up in a sunny side of Bulgaria,
Hmm.
countryside, open spaces. So it wasn't quite making sense. Uh,
But the job was in Reading, so it wasn't like you could go to another location in the UK because I'm and it's so varied. Maybe not the weather so much, but but it's very different if you're in London, for example, or or in the north. But
I
yeah,
went to London so much.
yeah.
I felt like if I buy a place in London, it would be better. There was a period where 8 weekends in a row, I
Hmm.
did not stay in my city. I went to London or
Hmm.
continental Europe.
Yeah.
So finally, I had to face it. What am I doing? I was making so much money. I didn't even know back then.
Hmm.
I was just wasting it because I wasn't happy and you try to buy happiness by traveling, but it's not the same.
Well,
I
but
just wasn't fitting.
if you have to travel all the time, then that's kind of a sign that that's not really the life. And a lot of people live like that. I feel a lot of people just kind of work for the weekends and to go away, and that's not really. You
That's
have to
not
be happy. You have
sustainable.
to. No,
No.
it's not sustainable, and you have to be at least a little bit happy where you are. Traveling is always nice, but if it's like an escape from reality,
Right.
then
Yes. Yeah. You can't live on
mm,
escapes only.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was really 8 weeks and then 8 weekends where I wasn't
Hmm.
home. So I thought I'll leave. Um, I found another job. I'll tell you about it in a moment. But on my last week in England, I threw a party, going away party. I invited the whole company. I was so happy that I'm finally getting away. People came, I don't know, about 40 people came that were not even close friends. I
Yeah,
made friends that last party,
yeah. Hmm.
and I'm staying in touch with some of them until now. Somehow I could not quite, maybe it was my mental block. I don't know what it was, but
It's I feel like having spent a lot. I lived in the UK for 12 years, and
mhm.
I can see how they're not easy to crack. Once you're in, you're in. But yeah, like you said, there is a strange detachment almost. It's really odd. I mean, obviously there are exceptions always, but I feel
Yeah.
like I didn't really. Well, I met my husband in my first year there, and then but I really met people through him, and then gradually um
Yeah. I
myself.
mean,
But it's really difficult to make
to break
friends.
it. Yeah. The, I was an international company, so I thought that I'll make friends there.
Hmm.
But I noticed that the French get together, the Italians get together, the Spanish get together, and I was only Bulgarian. So I was trying to hang out with
Hmm.
the only other American was the front desk lady. Um, she was also from Wisconsin, and a couple of the locals, they were nice to me, but no matter how nice somebody is at work, they go back to their family at the end of the day, and I go home. Um, I wish that we're gonna go into what I wish I had done. I wish I had explored the UK with a little bit more open mind, but
Yeah.
I guess all the expectations I had were not met, and you lose the momentum.
This is the thing that happens, I think, when you do move a lot and you look back and you kind of like, oh, I wish I was there now with the experience I have now. I wish I could do it again, sort of thing. I totally get that sense of like, why didn't I do this and that? But also you don't know what frame of mind you're in when you move somewhere. And you can be
Yeah,
full of optimism, but maybe you're exhausted and maybe something happens. And so clearly that wasn't suited to you. And that's fine, right?
right. Yeah. Lesson learned, move on. Don't go into a country you haven't seen before.
Well, it's not always, yeah, that's not always possible though, I guess, when you get a new job or job offer and you're adventurous. So what happened next when you'd made up when
Um,
you threw that goodbye party and then it was like, okay, so I'm off.
by then, I thought that I want to go to the Netherlands because that
Mhm.
was one of my first
Oh yeah.
dreams, living abroad, Greece or the Netherlands. So I did the same thing. I applied for as many jobs as I could find in the country. Hopefully, one would stick, and one did work out. And again, I was super happy, moved there, and things worked. The job was great, the people were great. Unfortunately, the project got restructured. So the section of the team where I was working for moved to Germany, and my visa was already for the Netherlands. So I kind of got stuck. Well, not stuck, in a good way, stuck. I could have chosen to move to Germany, but I didn't want to. I chose to stay in the Netherlands. I had to switch my position,
Mhm.
and apparently I wasn't a very good fit for that second position, so things didn't work out, and I was let go.
Where were you in the Netherlands?
I was in Utrecht.
Okay.
I loved it. I mean, I went with open mind this time, without much expectations.
Mhm.
I wasn't looking for a guy. I wasn't looking for anything, and that's when things start to line up. I
The
had a contract
classic.
for
Yeah.
I had a contract for 5 years. Things were looking good. I got a very nice apartment. I bought everything new, IKEA, but still furnished, set my life, friends. And then the project got restructured and I was let go. And then I worked very hard to find another job in the Netherlands. But when you don't speak the language well, that's not enough.
Oh.
The challenges in the Netherlands were not so cooperative bosses that I had.
Mhm.
So I mean, it all boils down to law, but if I had left on my own, they didn't
Yeah.
have to pay unemployment. So they were gently pushing me out, and I was not really wanting to leave. So we were kind of not in a very friendly way of saying
Okay.
goodbye. And then I said, okay, I guess I'll just give it my best to stay and enjoy my life. It was great.
What was it about the Netherlands that made you want to go there in the first place? What was it? Had you traveled there before or
No, I think I picked on people's energies. So there was this
uh-huh.
girl in the English class who had just returned from the Netherlands, and she spoke about the windmills, about the flowers, the
Yeah.
bicycles, the waterways. Something about her vibe
Yeah.
was so contagious that I said,
Mhm.
I have to go see that. Greece was a passion of mine because of the oranges and the olives and the good weather. You know, simple girl. I just want to be on the beach somewhere.
I
But the
love that. You
Netherlands
you
was
you are such a romantic at heart. Yeah,
right.
it does shine. It does shine through. I love it. It's like, why did you want to go there? Oh, the oranges. I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you grow behind the Iron Curtain and you get
Yeah.
oranges for Christmas only, they
Yeah.
become something. And now that
Yeah.
there is plenty of oranges, I don't care
Yeah.
all that much. Like we said, it's the movies. It's the image that
Yeah.
you get and it sticks with you. So
Yeah.
this lady in the English class really got me hooked on the Netherlands. I also like to cycle.
Mhm.
When I was a kid, and my parents, they're pretty strict. They wouldn't let me go to too much because it was not safe. So no sports for you, you might get hurt. Don't stay out too late. So not many friends. Who wants to have friends with the teacher's daughter? So I was always going to be Tata Taylor. So my bike was my friend, and I can always go cycling because that was
Mhm.
healthy, it was good for you, and it was safe. So in the Netherlands, I found myself totally at home. Flat,
Yeah.
bicycles, windmills, flowers.
And the people.
Oh, I love the people. The people are great. Um, One thing about the Netherlands that I didn't expect to fall for is their directness. Everything that people don't like about the Netherlands, I love about it. And accidentally, when I lived in England, one of my colleagues' wife, she was a Dutch language teacher. We had a party at work and chit chat. What do you do for a living? I do Dutch classes. Oh, can I join? Don't you have anything better to do? No, I don't. Okay, then I guess you can join my class. So I learned Dutch just for the sake of doing something, not knowing yet that I'll go to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So I went there and things fit in.
Yeah. Well, until they didn't, and then what? I mean, how did so you were let go, you didn't have the job anymore, and then what?
I tried to stay. I was getting random jobs, really, cleaning, babysitting, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then at some point, I was really getting short on money, so I subletted my apartment to a Spanish guy, and I moved to live in my garage. And somebody told me one day, "You're pretty much homeless. The garage doesn't lock."
Oh,
I've never thought about it that way. And maybe I'm romantic. Maybe I don't really pay attention to the signs, but yeah, kind of it didn't sound good that I'm homeless. So I expanded my job search for outside of the Netherlands, and the first job that I landed was in Australia.
okay.
So the question was, okay, out of all of Europe and all of the US applications, the first application in Australia says yes. And I was talking to my best American friend. I said, well, the salary is not all that high. I don't know what my lifestyle will be. I don't know. It's so far. I haven't been there. Maybe I should come back to the States. And she said, listen to yourself. You don't have a job. You sleep in your garage and you're picky. So a month later, actually, a couple months later, I had to get my visa first. I went back to visas, right? After all that time of getting American citizenship and European Union open to Bulgarians, I had to get back a visa and my passport and move to Australia, a place I've never seen.
That's an amazing opportunity because I mean, people dream about going to
I know,
Australia.
right?
So where did you go?
I was in Melbourne. A lot of Dutch people, they fantasize that Australia is the best place in the world. Good weather,
Yeah.
mountains. Everybody was jealous that I'm going to Australia. And I said, do you want to swap? Can I stay here and you go there? But I did go to Australia. I loved it. And when the project ended, um, actually the funding went away. So there was two people hired on that project. There was a young father with two little children and myself. And I thought, you know what? You keep the position. I'll go find something else because I'm so used to it. And he was from Malawi, but he was a British citizen. So I thought he deserved that leftover money more than me. And I just came back to the States and there I am again.
How long were you in Australia for?
1 year and a half.
Okay. So what did you think
So
of the people there and friends? Because I mean, you're talking about the few people that you made friends with in the UK at your going away party, and then obviously you've got Dutch friends.
I
But
have a
then
lot of Dutch friends.
what about the
Mhm.
Australians?
Other Australians are really cool. So in every place I made friends that are local and expats. And I like the balance because the expats make you feel you belong.
Yeah.
They know what you're saying, and the locals make you grow. You learn things, you adjust. I don't like to move to a new place and just be there. I want to become them. I'm kind of like trying to blend in wherever I go. And we talked about identity during Man the Move. I don't think you lose your identity. You just add to it layer by layer, and you are
Yeah.
all of it. I say people don't know me because each place I've lived in, they've seen me in a different way. I think that's trend in the States who has heard all my stories from all the places. She probably has the best ideas. 360 Liana.
That's the beauty of having friends in all those different places. They all kind of see a different side of you, and yet I don't know. It's something I think. Well, I've written about this, and I sometimes feel like I'm this, like, you know, those babushka dolls, those
Mhm.
nesting dolls where there's like one inside of the, and they I feel like that's me, and they're all in there, and
Yeah.
I can get them out depending on where I am or
Like-
who I'm with, and you know, sometimes you get the wrong one out in the wrong place. And then,
But that's exactly how it is. I mean,
yeah.
with every place, you pick up some behavior, some skills, some knowledge, and it
Hmm.
all comes helpful. Because
Hmm.
oddly, when I returned back to the States, that's when my most of times I've moved from country to country with like 2 cubic meters of stuff.
Yeah.
I dragged my stuff with me like a snail. And then when I returned to the States, even though it was the familiar country,
Hmm.
it was still a new city, and my boxes got delayed. They arrived about 6 months later.
Oh, wow.
There was some issue with containers, with
Yeah.
insurance, I don't know what else. Um, I could track the ship going slowly from place to place
Oh.
until I finally got my stuff. My dad was joking. He said, by the time you get your boxes, you're gonna move again, right? And I did.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much since I left Bulgaria, I've moved on average every 2, 3 years. And even
Yeah.
though this job has lasted already about 8 years, I first had an office in DC, then I moved back to Madison, and then back to Chicago, and I had my apartment, and then I'm in my partner's apartment. So now I get to experience the itch, the 3 years. It's just like time to do something, time to move somewhere, time to, I don't know, at least start planning something because it becomes second nature.
Do you feel like it's in your system and
Yes.
it's almost like because now you have a partner as well, so it's not just you, it's different. Now you have to kind of make friends with being in one place, I guess. Or is your partner willing to move with you? Does he know this about you?
Yes, she does. We met online, so I had to put on my profile, I'm a European born and raised, so be prepared for inadequate behaviors.
Yeah.
He's very open-minded about it, and there was this African proverb I read right when I met him. It said, "If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with someone."
Mhm.
And every time we disagree on something, I think of the proverb, like patience, patience. Because I went around the world and I'm looking for him, not really for him, but now that I get to experience that side of life, being in a great relationship, the question is, can I convince him to move elsewhere? He hasn't lived abroad, he's traveled, but it's a different thing.
Is he
Um,
American?
he's American, born in
Okay.
Columbus, moved to Chicago, that's it. And I threw right away my dreams very early on. We need to travel, or if you're not keen on it, I would have to travel and you can stay home. I'll be back. Now moving to Europe, of course I miss Europe. I miss every place I've been to. If I could just spread in pieces and be everywhere, because every place has good things, and if I can Frankenstein a country
Oh,
together.
oh my goodness. I know. I think everyone has that dream place in their minds and, or maybe two, so that you could still travel. I guess for you, you've lived on different continents and um you must miss so many things from various places.
I do.
What do
I
you what do you
do.
miss? What do you miss the most? Let's pick one place. What do you miss the most from the Netherlands, for example?
I miss the Dutch directness, the infrastructure, their curiosity. I like how well everything is organized. The huge windows, no matter what the weather is. Um, no curtains. You just see things as they are. But I really like their curiosity. And it took me a while to adjust to it. You would meet a Dutch person and they'll ask you all kind of questions. And for a moment, I I start thinking, oh, they're interested in me. No, they're just curious, and they ask questions that are quite personal without being interested in you. Um, it took me a couple of conversations to figure that out. But then I thought if they could ask all those questions, then I can ask all my questions. And then it became interesting, and nobody's judging you. You could wear whatever you want to. You can look the way you want
Yeah.
to. They're very accepting. Yes, they call it tolerance, but it is a very tolerant and accepting society. It's not all perfect, but nowhere else is.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved it there. If I could move tomorrow, I will.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we are two, the conversation is more like a negotiation. Do we want to move to Greece? How about Italy? How about Netherlands? How about Spain? So we kind of ping ball where we're gonna go and when.
Mm-hmm. Go on holiday first and check it out, and
I love
yeah.
those exploratory holidays. Every year we pick a country.
Yeah, perfect. Do you find, can you go anywhere? Because I'm really struggling now to go to places without thinking, oh, could I live here? I just, I can't just go somewhere and enjoy it for the, I always have to,
Well, I think we have the skill of finding yourself in a new place, and within a day or two,
yeah,
you already feel at home. Okay, not at home,
yeah.
but you feel comfortable navigating. And
Hmm.
my mom asked me once, how do you navigate airports? How do you go to new places? And I had to kind of think for a moment. It's always the same. There's signs, you speak a language, you ask people, you have a
Yeah,
smartphone. Discussing
very
with
true.
another expat, the smartphone solves half of your problems as expat. And when we went away, like you said, we're left at the same time, we felt a sense of accomplishment getting from place to
Yeah.
place, using coins to call home,
Yeah. God,
maps on paper,
jeez, I know. How
printing.
did we do it? How did we do it? Driving somewhere, driving from one place to the next without, I mean, this is, yeah, it's crazy. I can't even remember. But yeah, like you said, there was a sense of achievement. Maybe that's a little
Yeah,
bit different now. It's a different type of achievement that we experience, I guess, now. Yeah, coming back to the countries, what do you miss about Australia?
the good weather,
Hmm.
the avocados and the mangoes and the beaches. And people really are chill. I
Yeah.
think Australia is a strange mix of UK and US. Um,
The language too, right? The language is interesting, I think.
yeah, when we hosted Language Week for Mangamo, I had so many ideas. I couldn't choose which one to write about because to these days, I would still say perhaps I picked that from the UK and I'm never going to give up on it. It just sounds so British to me. Americans say maybe. And then in Australia, they'll say capsicum. And for a while, I
Yeah.
didn't. That's a pepper. The shortness, arvo, ute, sunnies, all that. I don't care to say more than I need to. If you get it, you get it. That's such a cool life.
Yeah.
If it wasn't
Oh,
all that far,
yeah, I guess that's the downside. So what, yeah, what don't you miss?
I guess the long flights there. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Especially if you have to change flights in China on American passport.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do-
um, I my visa was on the American passport. I do have the Bulgarian as well. And
Mhm.
on one of my flights, I had to give my passport to the lady and wait for a while, like 30 minutes. And then she said, if you have a different passport, it's better to travel on your other passport. So if you have dual citizenship, try the non-American in China.
Oh, interesting. Well, here's your tip. The tip number one. What would you say? What is there anything you don't miss from the Netherlands, or would you go back if someone offered you a job there? Would you go back there?
Yes, tomorrow.
Okay, so we're putting this out here now. It's out.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything that I didn't like.
Mm,
Um, I've been back, so I revisit my homes as much as possible. Since I left Australia, I've been there twice. In the Netherlands, I go almost every year. The UK every few years. Then my sister lives in Spain and my cousins are in Germany, so I try
mhm.
to visit everybody. You're the one without children and family, so you should visit. Um, every place feels home. It's so interesting. I thought that some places that I haven't been in a while, or even in England where I wasn't all that real to live there. When I go back to London, I feel like, oh yeah, this is how things were. Uh, and it's amazing how quickly your brain switches from one to the other.
Mhm.
Or
Well,
at least,
you go back to a part of yourself that sometimes you
right?
forget. You forget about that part, and then something triggers it. And this, I find that this can even happen when you hear someone's accent, and it's like, it takes you right back. Or food, or if you someone cooks something and you're like, oh my God, that's just, and you reconnect with that past in a way.
Yeah.
And it's,
We
yeah.
keep Alexa in the house with Australian accent
Mhm.
because it makes me smile.
Yeah. Do you watch Australian like sitcoms and stuff like that? And
Offspring was the show that made me really
yeah.
homesick.
Yeah.
They actually had um, they were filming
Oh,
it on the street I lived on. So
oh
in one of the
wow.
shots, my apartment building was showing.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that was fun.
Amazing.
That was so fun.
Yeah, it's a fun show. Yeah. I'm going back to what you said about being a romantic. I don't think of myself as romantic in relationships. I don't know. It's just flowers and all that are not really a must have, but I do romanticize my former homes and my future homes,
Mhm.
my places.
Yeah, I think being romantic isn't necessarily chocolates and flowers and stuff. Because I always used to think similarly, like I don't care about all that stuff, and it's not. I didn't dream of a white wedding dress when I was growing up. It's like I'm not a romantic person, but then I do the same thing, and you kind of, and the rose tinted spectacles come out when you talk about a place, and or you say something nice about a place, and someone's like, "What, you hated that place?" I'm like, oh, that's not true. So,
Looking back,
and being kind of enchanted by a place that you haven't even visited just because you've seen movies or read books, I can totally relate to that. And I think that is a little bit romantic in a
yeah,
way. But I also think that it's just we have a we have some kind of sense of what place suits us and what doesn't. And I just feel like everyone's different.
I
And
wanted to ask you about that. So when you travel to places and you already are ready to, you think about, can I live there?
mhm.
Um, do you know already which places you wouldn't want to live? What kind
Yeah,
of places? Yeah.
yeah. I guess I mean, I've visited a few cities as well where it's just like um I like going there and as a tourist, but I can't imagine myself,
Yeah.
and I think that's the romantic sort of, I can't see myself like walking down a street in a certain
So,
outfit or something. Um, there are some places I really, really dislike, and one of them is Las Vegas.
huh,
Um,
okay.
and I knew even before I went there that I wouldn't like it. It was just I've had to go to just get it
To
out of my
confirm.
system. Mhm. And it was completely confirmed, and I'm very happy if I never ever have to go back there. It's just really the opposite of what I like. And it's, yeah, it's interesting. And some places have surprised me,
Yeah.
but
Um, I was wondering if I should talk about that during the conversation. When you are in a place that you don't quite like, um,
mhm.
do you later try to revisit it in your head and make peace with it? I kind of get hung up on that because to me, England was my dark period. Even
Mhm.
though I was most depressed in the Netherlands when I lost my job and my
Mhm.
world fell apart, I still think of England as, I don't want to think about it. And
Mhm.
then I saw this Greek comedian who was living and working in London at the time, who came to Melbourne. And she gave a show, The Queen's Way or something like that. And she looked at everything I was struggling with through the eyes of laughter. And I thought, why was I wasting my time? Why didn't I see it that way?
Yeah.
Um,
I think sometimes we just need the hindsight, unfortunately, and sometimes we're too much in the moment to kind of caught up with our own. It's almost like we got ourselves into this weird way
Yeah.
of thinking, and then it's really difficult to crawl out, and it's only later that you see it. But and I do feel like that's why we sometimes have unfinished business with a certain place. And but we also have to kind of come to terms with it, because we had our chance and maybe we didn't take it fully, and that's just, yeah, learn from it, don't do it next time. I think that's the only thing you can do, because you can't go back and fix it, and you
I
can't romanticize it in your mind. You can't be like, oh, it wasn't so bad, or and also you can't really beat yourself up about it and be like, oh, I was stupid, I didn't enjoy it. You can't do that, because then that's waste of energy as well.
Yeah, I shared that link on Instagram yesterday. This older friend of mine, she's, I don't know, 76, wrote a piece on non-closure because she's
Mm-hmm.
American and all Americans are about find closure, get closure. Like, I don't know. I don't have a feel for the American closure. It's just things starts and end and you can start again. But she wrote from perspective of what if you never get a closure? It's like live with uncertainty. Just
Mm-hmm.
take it as it is. Like, oh, finally somebody put it well in words.
Yeah, yeah. And people do different things, don't they? I mean, I like how Mariam put it, where she said in our conversation, where she wrote a letter every time she
Yeah.
left a country. And I mean, if that isn't closure, I mean, that's a pretty amazing thing to do, really. And I thought, oh wow, that's one way of,
Mm.
and of course there are always going to be loose threads that you cannot, that don't fit into your current perception, maybe. But that is definitely something, like, that is something I might even think about doing, even now, with like years
Yeah.
and years later.
I mean, therapists say when you get mad at somebody, write them an angry letter, then burn
Hmm.
it.
Coming back to you and being in the US now and kind of having that, you can feel the itch again. What are you going to do about it? Or do you think you'll stay
Um,
put for now?
for now. For how long? For now, yeah. So I have always plans and I don't know what's gonna happen, but the idea is to move to Europe in a few years. And I don't know what a few is, but I was realizing that and admitting it to myself, life is so good where we are that
Hmm.
the motivation to move is different. So we become more choosy. But I'm sure we'll find a place. So right now I'm kind of researching a few countries from perspective of being
Yeah.
retired and then doing what I always wanted to do. Can I write and just organize things and have fun with people? It really is a passion of mine to entertain, but I'm not an actor. I'm never going
Hmm.
to go there. But I've been organizing bike rides in the city and
Hmm.
writing classes and all those expat activities that happen. They just recharge me. It's so great. I don't think I can relate to the people, even though they're local friends, relating to people like you and other expats. We're always going to be in our own community. I don't even, I tell my boyfriend, you don't have to live through what I've lived, but at least we have to be honest that you're not going to understand everything I'm saying. You're not going to understand why do I get excited when I get into the airport.
Hmm.
So I'm preparing for Greece, Italy, and Barcelona,
Hmm.
doing comparative study.
Yeah, well, that's and that can take years, right? Lots of trips.
Right, right. The scientist in me is doing a great research, and last year after the move, I thought all the prompts stirred up so much happy memories that I thought maybe I should share that excitement that I have, that romanticism about, yes, you can do it all. If you can move around the world by yourself, starting from a countryside village somewhere in Bulgaria,
Hmm.
anybody can do anything.
Hmm.
Just set your mind to it, and if you need help, I'll help.
Hmm.
But I do believe that people should get what they want, live their life the way they want to, and where they want to, because let's be honest, we don't fit all in the same place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I love the idea of um being openly romantic about it and excited and sharing that excitement. And I find this is something I've been experiencing more recently rather than at the
Mhm.
beginning of my like leaving Germany. But maybe that's the thing that comes as you get older. I really cherish my expat friendships, and
Yes,
I was very keen to just blend in when I first moved to the UK and to become almost English. That was my goal. And then as I moved, and then really, like you said, you realize there's a level of understanding that just you just need someone else who's gone through all the
yeah,
moves. And I really find that, and that's what the online community is so amazing for as well,
agree.
because it helps you find local friends, local expat friends, but these connections with people who are in completely different countries, and I feel they're strong because of the depth of emotions and experiences that we've had and
Uh,
are happy to share.
yeah, I totally agree with you. Um, I read a book by a local writer who lived in Paris, and she had two books on living in France.
Hmm.
And I connected, I had to.
Hmm.
So we're Facebook friends and discussing making friends. She thought no matter where you go, you're gonna find the other Americans because you all see that country in the same way. And I disagree that I had to kind of tone it down, but you're gonna find the
Hmm.
people that are like you no matter where they're from and what their age. And
Yeah.
it's so amazing because up until probably moving to the Netherlands, I was trying to fit in.
Hmm.
I was forcing myself to fit in. And then in Holland, I met so many different people from different countries and the locals. I said, I don't have to be anybody else but myself, and there's plenty of people to like me.
Hmm.
I was watching a YouTube video last night about I'm going to Athens for a day
Hmm.
before going home. So I thought I need to find information on 24 hours in Athens. And then one video led to the other, dating in Greece, and then dating in Holland, and then living in Holland. And I was laughing out loud on the stereotypes, which it's not like I forgot them, but I don't think about them every day.
Yeah.
Dating around the world, so much fun.
Yeah. There are a few podcasts, and but I don't think, yeah, there's still room for more.
Oh boy.
Maybe, yeah.
Yes. Uh,
But hey, you're with an American man now, even though you said at the beginning, I don't think American men are for me. So you never say never to anything, right?
oh, he, I used to be proud of being different, even as a child. Like, there's a
Yeah,
standard deviation to scientists and the bell curve, and you're somewhere there. And he's also somewhere there, but we
good.
match.
Yeah, that's why. And you find those people. You find your people always.
Yeah, if there's anything to be said about expats, you can't put all the Bulgarians or all the Germans or all the Americans in the same box. There'll be enough that are your people.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it really doesn't matter where they're from. But yeah.
Right, yeah.
I feel like we've there are a few tips in this episode. I should call this tips by a picky romantic. How about that?
Sure. I am picky. What am I going to say? Yeah. Choosy? I don't know.
Choosy,
Selective.
selective, discerning. Yeah,
Discerning, yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess this is a good point to stop chatting away and going into our Friday evening. But just a couple more questions to finish. So one is, if I asked your partner now, what would he say is the most American thing about you?
He'll probably say, I speak my mind and I'm ambitious and pushy. I
Awesome.
cultivated that American quality.
Very good. Is there still a Bulgarian thing in you that comes out?
Oh boy. Yes. I'm still very opinionated. I'm just not apologetic about it.
Beautiful. And then lastly, when you do, you must miss certain things about Bulgaria, whether it's people or whatever it is there anything that you do to get that feeling and get that sense of connection? Is there any food or a ritual or TV show? Is there anything that you do?
I don't watch TV shows from Bulgaria, but when I miss it, I go to the store and I buy a few items, or we go to the Bulgarian restaurant. And my partner loves it because it's meat-based, a lot of meat. So I get to hear a little bit of Bulgarian, we get to try some local food, and that's about does it.
How often do you go back?
Every year. I do want to reach your point of having lived abroad more than you've been at home. I'm not there yet. And see if that feels any different.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll talk again in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was really nice to talk to you, Iliana.
And you too.
Thank you for making the time.
Thank you too.
So that was my conversation with Iliana. And actually, it's wrong to say that that was it, because we carried on talking for about an hour after I stopped recording. And then once we'd said goodbye and I went and checked out all the links she provided, I realized that there was so much more that we could have talked about, including her writing and her expat projects. But maybe there's going to be another time, because I'm sure we could easily fill another episode. If you're interested in finding out more about this mysterious lady from Bulgaria, then you can find her on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or via her website, Olive Maps, which is actually a play on I Love Maps. Don't you love that? It's so fitting for a romantic person. And there's also her Iliana.us website, where you can actually find a lot of her writing. And of course I will put all the links in the show notes. And that is it for today. I'm now out of the office for a few weeks. I'm heading to Europe, going to the UK, France and Germany, and we'll be back at my desk mid-September. I think it's probably fair to say that I won't be doing a lot of editing over the next few weeks. I wish you all a marvelous summer or winter if you're down under. Stay happy and healthy, and see you next time.